Ron DeSantis cut an image of confidence in the video that launched his campaign for president last May. He walked across a flag-adorned stage to cheers and promised his supporters the great American comeback. 7 months later, the man some called Trump 2.0 and Trump without the baggage has abandoned his White House bid. His departure came with the admission that there is no clear path to victory against the dominant frontrunner for the Republican nomination. So where did things go wrong for the Florida governor, considered a political rock star not long ago for his war on woke ideology and strong track record in office? There were problems with the candidate himself, a perceived lack of charisma, and his awkwardness with voters, as well as with the campaign he ran. But the real reason for his downfall was simply the man he was up against, Donald Trump. He could not compete against a figure who enjoyed such unwavering support from his followers, said Matthew Bartlett, a New Hampshire-based Republican strategist. He, Trump, has been their political identity, and maybe even personal identity, for the better part of a decade, Mr. Bartlett said. Looking back at the campaign, experts said it was an almost impossible election cycle for a relative newcomer to the national stage. Mr. DeSantis was essentially running against an incumbent, with name recognition, limitless money, and a committed base of voters. A year ago, when the marathon race for the White House was already underway, it did not feel quite like that. Mr. DeSantis started 2023 as a very real threat to Donald Trump. Back then, when only the former president had announced he was running, Mr. DeSantis was at around 35% in the polls, within striking distance of his rival. He also had momentum after a record re-election victory as Florida governor the previous November. Mr. Trump, in contrast, was being blamed by many for the Republicans' disappointing midterm results. Yet that turned out to be the high watermark for the DeSantis campaign. By May, when the governor formally announced his run for the White House in an interview with Elon Musk plagued by tech issues, his poll numbers had slumped closer to 20%. Mr. Trump had soared back above 50%. Strategists say the decision to delay the official launch wasted precious months. More importantly, it gave Mr. Trump a chance to rebuild his image as a political outsider with the help of the national headlines that surrounded his numerous legal issues. The DeSantis campaign started pretty late and raised a ton of money, obviously. David Cockle, a longtime Iowa Republican strategist, told the BBC. But by then Trump was going at him hammer and tong. I don't know that they had effective responses. I think it took them a while to engage. While Mr. DeSantis may have privately hoped for the former president's legal troubles to catch up with him, he never criticized Mr. Trump for them and instead often echoed his rival's claims that he was being unfairly targeted. It seems like every time Mr. Trump was indicted, his poll numbers went up, said Timothy Hagel, a political science professor at the University of Iowa. And to some extent, that's not surprising, because it's kind of a rally around the chief effect. At first, DeSantis used a strategy of trying not to offend Mr. Trump, but the former president showed no such restraint, often resorting to nicknames including Meatball Ron and Ron DeSanctimonious. Thank you for tuning in. Consider subscribing to Global Knowledge Info Hub for more valuable content.